All right. So, today I am going to teach you how to set up the settings inside of Ship of Harkinian for randomizers. Some of this can apply for general vanilla play as well, but this is primarily focused on setting up a randomizer, especially if it is your first time and you want somewhere to start, as the menu for this is huge. In order to get into this menu, you're going to hit escape. And you've got settings, enhancements, randomizer, network, dev tools, things like that. So, what do you want to do with this? Where do you start? Start just on settings. You can change different things here, like menu opacity, themes, things like that. If you're curious what something does, you can mouse over it and it will show what it does. Makes cursor always visible, even in full screen. Audio, this ship can be particularly loud. If you want to fine-tune the way things are done, you can turn this down. I have in my Windows volume, I have that up to 100%. Master volume, I have here around 34%. Graphics, you can toggle full screen, off and on. For randomizer purposes, I run things at the 4.3 aspect ratio. The purpose for this is tricks are measured very precisely, sometimes with camera angles, other times with rolls, side hops, or backflips, things like that. If you run any tutorial videos, they are measured in 4.3 typically, so bear that in mind. You will have to adjust the way you are performing the trick if you are not in 4.3. You can run the widescreen if you like the look of it and you're just casually playing. Who cares? You can do that if you want. FPS, it's frame generation, so you can turn up to your monitor's refresh rate if you want to. This will not change the way logic, game speed, or the way that tricks are executed. Timing remains the same. It's artificial frames. Additionally, your controls can be bound under here. These are your different options. You can change it how you want. Analog sticks, if you have stick drift, you can change the dead zone, so it will help adjust that. This will simulate notches on your controller, like a Nintendo 64 controller or a GameCube controller, for example. If you don't have notches, you can simulate this. This is really nice. You can also change your ocarina controls. I would recommend setting it to D-pad ocarina. It's better than stick controls. Stick is inaccurate. You can if you really like it, but I prefer D-pad. The other thing you can do if you would like to be able to play with right stick aiming, as in like first-person traditional camera modern controls, you can do this. I would still recommend absolutely using your Z targeting when you are measuring things. It is preferable, as those measurements are there for a reason. You can free aim things if you want, but if you're getting into more advanced tricks or even some of the novice tricks, you are going to need to Z target for some of those. Input viewer, you can mess with this as well. Other settings, if you want to go through them, you can. It's just a matter of going into it, mousing over it, seeing what it does. Now, regarding enhancements, if you are prone to forget to save, you can set up autosave. It's nice to have. This is more of a quality... Again, this is under quality of life. Don't require input for credit sequence. You can copy my settings if you are interested, but I'll explain what a couple of these things do, like exit market at night. Normally you cannot leave at night. This will let you do so as child. Dampe will only appear at night during a set time. Dampe appears all night. We'll let him be there all the time. The child in the graveyard during daytime will prevent you from pulling graves. This will let you do that. Nighttime Skulltula always spawn. It makes it so you don't have to make it be nighttime. Things like that. Convenience. Instant put away, you don't have to wait around to put away an item. Navi timer will reset. Don't sleep on Navi. She is extremely useful for different tricks, particularly things like ISG, Infinite Sword Glitch later, which is a staple glitch that you learn. This is one that I recommend you keep on. Better Owl. This is a nice one to have. Just basically meaning, if you're playing a vanilla game, you're going to talk to Kebora Gabora, the owl. This will make it to where you can mash through his dialogue if you've already read it, and he won't ask you to do it again. The correct answer will always be on top. Skips and speed-ups, you can skip song cutscenes if you want. There are other options here. Again, if you are not sure what something does exactly, most of these are self-explanatory, or if it is something that needs more explaining, you can mouse over it and it will give you an explanation. You can speed up how fast you climb, open chests, block lifts, things like that, crawl speed, block pushing speed, different things like that. Other things you can change, like skipping child stealth, other different adjustments. Graphics, you can use alternate assets if you're using a texture pack, mods, different things like that. The other thing is like disabling LOD. We're playing this on PC. Most people's computers are probably strong enough to be able to run the best model all the time. If for some reason you don't, you can disable the setting. Most of these are, I would say, optional. So again, go through, read what you like. What I would say are handy, especially, this is a general nice one to have. It just puts like an arrow at the top center of your screen. And it's useful for measuring in different glitches. And again, it says it does not work outside of 4.3 aspect ratio. Another reason why it's not, if you're looking to get really into randomizers, run it at 4.3. Visual Stone of Agony, this is handy for if you don't have Rumble. This will help you find grottos if you don't know locations when you have Stone of Agony. The rest is more what you want. Again, read through, see what you like. Items. Equip items on D-pad. I absolutely recommend this. It's 4 extra items in addition to your C buttons. Assign tunics and boots. This is really nice as well. It lets you put hover boots and tunics, or your iron boots, on your D-pad. You can do this with the Kokiri as well, or your C buttons. Equipment toggle. This will let you turn on and off your shields, for example. If you want to toggle your shield if you're worried about having it being eaten by a like, you can absolutely do that. Ask to equip new items, so say you buy something at a shop, so you don't have to go into the menu, it will ask you if you want to equip it right away. It's just a quality of life nice thing. Preventing ocarina inputs. Sometimes it will drop inputs if you play it too quickly. This is nice to have. Bunny hood effects. Traditionally in Ocarina of Time, it's just a quest item and you don't do anything with it. Other than the quest, it has no effect if you wear it. This will let you apply Majora's Mask settings to it, to where it will run faster or give it a longer jump. If there are certain, I would recommend having it equipable as adult so you can move around faster. Hyrule is huge. Don't be shy to be moving quicker. Just be aware that with longer jump, it will change the way that you can approach different dungeons. So if you want to keep a bit of authenticity for what you can and can't access, have it set to faster run. For convenience, longer jump is nice. If you don't want the bunny hood showing at all times, you can turn it off with this. Again, if you want to copy some of my settings or read through what some of these do, I'm mostly going through ones that I find are important. Like preventing bomb chews from forcing first person, because when you release a bomb chew, it will put you in first person, for example. Fixes. I have pretty much everything here that I would really recommend having equipped, such as fixing out-of-bounds textures, fix bush drop items, fix falling from vine edges, raised floor switches. Some of these are graphical, others are the way things perform. The main thing that I would suggest not to turn on that I have had problems with in the past, and maybe they have fixed this, I have not tested it, but fix Megaton Crouch Stab. I would keep this turned off. I had problems with Power Crouch Stab with other items when I had this enabled, because it was changing the way that Power Crouch Stab functions. So just keep that turned off. That's my personal suggestion. Difficulty. Here, you can change the way things affect damage. Permanent health loss, I wouldn't recommend that unless you hate yourself, or unless you're doing a challenge run or something like that. That's up to you. Bomb 2 drops is nice. Trees drop sticks, so basically if you bonk into a tree, after you have found a stick, it will drop Deku sticks. This is nice for farming. Always win Goron Pot, Dampe, Digging Game. These are RNG. It's nice to have it steady. Mini games. These are up to you on what you want to have set. If you have a mini game that you like or dislike, you can have things changed. I'm typically fine with most of these. Frog mini game I'm not great at, but I will do it if I have to. The only one for Randomizer that I do advise having changed is fishing. Customize the behavior to where you guarantee the bite and have instant fishing, and lower the weight requirement. This will make it to where you will just win the fishing game and not spend a huge amount of time on the fishing, because this will take the longest out of any check. You can even change this during a seed if you need to. This is optional. Cheats. I would make sure to be careful if you just decide to use save states, only because it can cause problems when you're changing load zones. And if you're using it to practice certain tricks, it can help, say, with bomb hovers. It works with that. But I have encountered weird interactions, like with Shadow Temple, Fire Arrow entrance. If you're labbing that and practicing it and loading it, it will eventually just make it to where when you spawn the save state and you fire the fire arrow, it will just open the door with one arrow. Something with it is weird. These are not traditional save states. Sometimes it will break the game. I recommend using this sparingly. Using it to practice mega flips, different things like that, it will be fine with this. I wouldn't worry too much about that. But do be careful if you use it. Everything else, read through what it does, see what it is that you like, what you don't want, things like that. Cosmetics, you can change how things look here. You can change the way the HUD is. You can adjust different settings for different silly things. Audio, you can disable the Navi call audio. You can mute low HP. Gameplay stats, it won't show unless you're in a save file, but it will show the order you've collected things. Time splits, timers, you can read through that as well. Now, randomizer settings itself. Things that I would recommend starting out is under the seed settings itself, you have the world, items, gameplay, locations, tricks, glitches, and starting inventory. I personally recommend starting out, if you want to copy my settings here, this isn't bad to have. You can mouse over each one to see what it does, but my reasoning for each one is you can get to the Deku Tree right away. Kakariko Gate is open and Death Mountain is there. Door of Time is open. You can go between adult and child at will. Zora's Fountain, you don't need Ruto's Letter to get past Zora. The Sleeping Waterfall only needs Zelda's Lullaby. It keeps it interesting and enables the ability to also try some different tricks to get past it. Jabu Jabu, this can also enable some tricks in logic, and you only need a fish in a bottle to get it open. Additionally, starting age, you can choose whatever you want there. Fortress Carpenters, I recommend fast, so you only have to free one of them. The bridge requirements, this is up to you on what you want to do. Vanilla is just Shadow, Spirit, and Light. Medallions is typically what I run, so I'll do 6 medallions. Ganon's Trials, there are checks inside of Ganon's Trials. You can choose if you want to have a set number of trials that you need to do, or you can skip them, but just be aware, there are checks inside the trials. Dungeon entrances, as far as things being shuffled, starting out, I would recommend if you want to shuffle anything here, do age-restricted bosses, which means it will only be child or adult bosses and their appropriate dungeons. As far as things like this, if you turn on grottos or owl drops, it will randomize where they will put you inside different grottos or places he can drop you. Just be aware that it will include that in logic, so if you are stuck somewhere, check your owl drops. As far as shuffling items, song locations, if you want those randomized, you can put them anywhere, have them as dungeon rewards. I like to have them at song locations, but be aware it will put that into logic as well. Shuffling the swords, I like to do that. You can if you want. If you want to include Tycoon Wallet, Shuffle Ocarinas, again, you can copy what I have here, but these are just my personal recommendations. The only ones that I would say probably be careful with is boss key shuffles, Gerudo Fortress. I'd keep that vanilla just because that's more of a just obnoxious, at least to me, than anything. Key Sanity, I would not recommend this to start with, especially if you are not familiar with dungeon. If you are not familiar with dungeons, keep your boss keys at vanilla. Ganon's boss key as well. Only reason I say this is because if you don't know how to solve the dungeons, it may be useful to have it there. But if you're feeling adventurous, you can have it be randomized in own dungeon to be in different locations. You could set it to be overworld or in any dungeon. Me, I like to run it anywhere. Boss keys, you could move those around if you want. Again, it's up to you. Experiment. Just be aware difficulty will vary. It won't make it impossible. It just means be aware it will change how it is expecting you to do dungeons. You may have to go into a dungeon a little bit and then leave later after you make as much progress as you can. You can do key rings. This will get you all keys at once. Just be aware. It may take a while for you to find a key ring. Shops. I personally like having it at 4 items randomized for specific count, mainly because it gives me vanilla shop items inside the shop itself, so I can have access to Deku Shield, Hylian Shield if I end up losing one, or if I just need to get one. This will also give access to things like potions or bugs in a bottle if for some reason you can't find one, but bottles you do have to find as an actual check. You can also get Deku Sticks, nuts, other types of consumables that way as well. Shop prices, I prefer balanced. Fish sanity, fish that are swimming around, I don't recommend you do this. Or is this overworld fish? Okay, so it will be a variance between overworld fish and pond fish. You can do this if you want. I don't really care for it. Scrub shuffle's fine. These are all the business scrubs. This just gives more stuff to do. Fixed prices is nice. Set that to what you want. I like 10. Shuffling cows. This will make it to where when you get Epona's song, you can play it for the cows. 1 each. You will get a check. So you just be aware, in logic, things may get behind that. Don't forget to check them. Shuffling pots, crates, and grass fairies. I do not recommend this to start out. This will throw a ton of trash into the pool. And by trash, I mean rupees, arrows, different things like that. It's going to throw things you would normally find in bushes into the pool. It's up to you if you want to do that, but I don't recommend it starting out with. Oh, almost missed this. Tokens. If you have Token Shuffle on, these are the gold Skulltulas. It will mean that anytime you kill a Skulltula, it will normally drop a token. This will shuffle tokens into the pool, and killing gold Skulltulas will make it to where they drop items. This is up to you if you want to turn it on, but you'll need to remember 100 locations. Typically, to start out with, I would recommend off, and then go for up to 50 tokens per playthrough, because that's typically where the most of your Skulltula checks are going to be. That's my recommendation to start with. If you want to go token sanity, you can. You can read through the rest of this if you want to see what it does. Cuckoos, as far as like gameplay, I recommend having this to 0, so you just talk to Andrew, the cuckoo lady, and she'll just give you the check, so you don't have to play the minigame. Additionally, anytime you talk to her after this, you get 50 rupees. It's a nice rupee farm. Big Poe target count, just have this set to 1 so you don't have to collect 10 Poes. The different skips here are nice to have. If you want to go and check Child Zelda, you can. You do the stealth section. There you go. Skip Epona race. You just get Epona song and you don't have to race. It's nice. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Complete Mask Quest. I do recommend this one just because Mask Quest is very long. So I would say probably run this just so you have access to everything. Skip Scarecrow song, I also recommend this for quality of life because you can just pull out the ocarina to summon him. Item pool, keep it at balanced to start with, really. The more you lower, the less there will be included. Plentiful adds extra items, and again, you can mouse over something to see what it does. Ice traps, I like to run extra, but normal will only have the normal amount. It will replace junk items, and some things will be heart pieces later, the higher you go. Gossip Stone hints, I think, need nothing clear and balanced distribution. Keep it at that to start with. You can also change what other hints you get. It's up to you on what you set. Again, you can mouse over if you want to know what it does. Wallets, I recommend this so that whenever you get a new wallet, it will just fill it. Bomb Chew Bag will basically make it to where you get the very first Bomb Chew contains 20 chews. It will also make it to where you can get them at vendors. And it makes it to where Bomb Chew Bowling is open by obtaining the Bomb Chew Bag, not bombs. Bomb Chew Drops, this is nice to have just for convenience. Blue Fire Arrows makes it to where you can shoot the ice, mud walls, things like that. Sunlight arrows, so you can light the suns. Infinite upgrades, it can basically give you infinite ammo, infinite magic, things like that, up to you. Skeleton Key unlocks every door in the game other than boss keys. And you no longer need small keys. Quality of life, up to you. Locations, this will filter what checks will be included. Otherwise, it will be a trash item if you put it over here. So if there's one that you don't like doing, like for example, I don't like doing Frogs in the Rain and Frogs Ocarina game. Is it hard? No, it's just me. I don't like doing it, so I don't include it. So if there's something you'd find that you don't like doing, then include it over here, and it won't add it in logic. To begin with, I absolutely recommend doing Glitchless, because glitches range from novice, intermediate, advanced, expert, extreme, and experimental. You can add these into logic. And what is logic? Logic is how it will expect you to complete the game in a specific order. Every game has this. It has a set path on what it wants you to do, and it will randomize it on a set path to ensure that it is always completable. But the requirements that you give it will change the way it reads it. So, for example, let's say I add in Backflip Mido as an adult, because normally he's blocking the path to Sacred Forest Meadow. If you don't have Ocarina and you don't have Saria's Song, you can backflip over him. There's a specific setup for it. But if I add this into logic, it's going to say, I want to do this. So it may delay Ocarina, and it may delay Saria's Song. Saria's Song may end up being behind this, which means you have to learn how to do it if you want to get by him. That's how it works with all of this. Does it mean that it will guarantee that it will be required to do if you put it over here? No. It means it will consider this in logic. So if you want more difficulty, put it over here. If you want to learn some of these things, read through the list. Find what you can and can't do. If you do these tricks without it being over here, you are breaking logic. You could get yourself stuck depending on the settings that you have, but that's why we have these open. The odds of getting stuck are much lower with these things. I have not gotten stuck with these settings like this if I've broken logic, and I break logic all the time. To be honest, I break logic all the time. But if you want to force yourself to learn some of these, enable them. Just be aware. Some of these are extreme. Some of these are advanced. Start with some of the novice ones. Others are not too bad. But if you need to know how something works, typically you can find videos on YouTube. Some of them are a little harder to find than others, but you can go from there. So that's a rundown on how logic works in a very, very basic sense. Don't do no logic unless you want a good... Basically, I would put no logic at any of these levels. It could be any of this. This is true random. It will require anything. And some of the seeds are not completable. It even gives you a warning. May be impossible to beat. So if you want to make sure you can beat a seed, do glitchless. Starting items, this is entirely up to you. And again, everything you select will choose how the randomizer decides to generate. Me, I tend to start with nothing. But say you want convenience. I'm going to start with the Fairy Ocarina and Sun Song so I can change the time of day. I'm going to start with stick and Deku Nut ammo. Well, there you go. Now you have that, so you can do that if you want. Me, I don't, but it's a nice convenience. Quality of life if you want to do that, just so you can do it. Starting with swords, I start with nothing, just so that I've got something to do. And for me, it makes it more interesting. But again, if you want to start with a Kokiri sword, that's up to you. Enhancements, rando relevant Navi hints. Navi can give you advice based on different ways the game functions, like being able to blow up bomb chews with Deku Nuts, for example. Some of these are just for fun, random rupee names. Item tracker, this is nice to have. This will show basically things that you've obtained. You can mess with the settings. It is a bit to go through, but you can change the icons, things like that. Check tracker. This is your best friend, especially when you are first starting, until you don't have things memorized, or if you just forgot where things are at. So this is a file I have going right now. You go check tracker. This shows everything that you haven't collected and everything you have collected. You need to collapse things to find it. You can. This is an amazing tool. Do not sleep on this. This is your friend. Go through whatever you need to. You can go from there. But it will show... You can say, okay, I skipped this one for some reason. There you go. Like if it was a junk item, you saw it was a junk item, like it's a blue rupee, oh boy. I'm gonna skip that one. We're not gonna worry about it. Yeah, that's how that works. Entrance tracker, this is if you have entrances randomized, like boss entrances, dungeon entrances, things like that. The item tracker itself is basically this. You can pop them out into windows and you can customize how you have them laid out. I like to have them like this so that they're not constantly covering my screen. You can even show your total checks accomplished. Input viewer, that's this doohickey down at the bottom here. So you can see me moving around, moving my right stick, different things like that. You'll see my button pushes. It's nice in that regard if you want to have it there. You don't have to, if you don't want to. That's really about the main gist of it all. Again, be careful with save states. Don't mess with the Megaton crouch stab unless you want to experiment with it. These are the fixes that I like to run. Items. These are different settings I like to run. Graphics. skips and speed ups, quality of life. You can pause on any of these if you want to copy what I have. Difficulty. Some of these can be done while you're playing, others cannot. Like enable bomb chew drops is not possible to change while you're in game. Mini games, you can change at any time. If you're struggling with a mini game, you can change it mid playthrough while you're doing that. Anything in the randomizer, once a seed is generated, it is there. Does it mean that you can't start another one? No, you can start another one. If you're stuck and want to come back to it later or completely give up on it, you can do that. Anyway, that is the basic rundown of the Ship of Harkinian settings if you are looking to run a randomizer. I hope that helps, and I will see you around.